Dear Adriana, I ran into you in the mall today. Merry Christmas Eve. But I'm still going to post this video as if I haven't talked to you. We talked about it in the mall, but I'm putting it up here so that you can think a little bit more about it and then reply to me, and then if other people have ideas or opinions too, they can join in as well. So I was listening to the Glory Days soundtrack, and the second song on the soundtrack is called Are You Ready? And towards the end of the song, Andy and Jack show up to where Will and Skip have been hanging out, and they're arguing about superheroes. And when I first listened to it, I was wondering why Andy and Jack would show up together, even though I knew they're still friends at the beginning of the show, but I was wondering why the writer of the show decided to do that. And it's because they had to have this argument. They come in the middle of the argument. Andy says that Batman is the better superhero, and Jack says that Superman is the better superhero. Andy at one point says, how can you think a man wearing gay red undies over his tights could, beat Batman? Which is a little bit foreshadowing. And Jack says to him, you'll never win an argument against me. Batman is human and Superman is not, so who will die if somebody gets shot? And when I heard that, when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I know why they're talking about this. Jump ahead several songs towards the end of the show. There's a song called Other Human Beings, which comes after Andy calls Jack a derogatory term for being gay. And the song talks about how we have the ability to choose the way we're going to make other people feel. And in the song, Jack says they're both human beings. I was trying to figure out if we were to compare the Superman-Batman argument to Andy and Jack, who's Superman and who's Batman. Because originally you'd think Jack was Superman and Andy was Batman, but because that's who they were supporting. But then you get later in the show and you realize that they're both Batman, they're both human, and they both lose each other after their argument. And so they die. They both die when they get shot. And I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was an interesting parallel and a cool symbol that I missed the first time I saw the show. So, but if you have a different interpretation of it, because I'm not 100% sold on that, just kind of talking it out and trying to figure out what it is, let me know. I guess that's it. Merry Christmas Eve. I've been listening to a lot of Glory Days. I like Glory Days because I think it does a good job at analyzing this apathetic generation that Skip talks about, how, we're just like stuck in our computers and we tend not to be very passionate. We understand there's problems in the world, but it's like, oh, who cares? I can't worry about it. It doesn't affect me. There's a lot of musicals that have looked at those types of things. American Idiot on Broadway right now is all about the apathetic generation. And Rent looked at that stuff a little bit too. And I think Rent and American Idiot, as much as I adore both of those shows, very much glorify the idea of having no direction and getting fucked up and, kind of standing up for the fact that they don't have to have something to necessarily live for. And Glory Days doesn't glorify that, ironically. In the song Good Old Glory Type Days, you listen to it and they're like reminiscing happily about their glory days of high school. But if you listen to their glory days, it's about like being bullied and thrown in trash cans and not having girlfriends and, being scrawny, awkward, or fat, awkward messes. And, they're referring to that as their glory days, and they look back as if it was a good time, but obviously they weren't happy in high school. Anyway, that's all. I just thought it was very interesting. I wanted to discuss it with you. So you can leave me a video back, and I'll see you after Christmas. Bye.